Welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a late night live show. I was going to do a late night roundup video and then I thought actually this is quite a big boost. This is quite a big story. Obviously we've been talking about Victor Gyökeres the last few days on the channel, Arsenal pursuing Sesko. As soon as we lost the Europa League final to Tottenham, there was a fear and a feeling among some people that we weren't going to get Victor Gyökeres. He only wanted Champions League football. But Victor Gyokeres hasn't turned Manchester United down. In fact, it's sort of been said that he's considering the move, he's open to the move, and there's an element of interest there. Even though we're not in the Champions League next season, Arsenal look to be pursuing Sesko. He wants to apparently move back to England, and the obvious relationship with Ruben Amorim. There had been rumours that United like Gyökeres, but we have to obviously sell to make this deal happen. But the big question was, we like Gyökeres, Amorim's dream striker target is Gyökeres. But does Gyökeres want Manchester United? That has been the big question. There's indications that he's open because he hasn't turned us down. He hasn't said no. He's had talks with us. But we've got a big update coming in from the Muppeteers, and the United Muppeteers are a very reliable source of information, which links to some other news stories as well about Amorim pushing to get the green light from Gyökeres and hoping he can get the green light from Gyökeres that we've reported in the last few days, basically suggesting that Victor Gyökeres might be waiting for Manchester United. So I want to get into this news. I want to get into this story on Victor Gyökeres. I want to tell you everything you need to know because there's quite a lot coming in. But the United Muppeteers, by the way, have been really spot on with their info lately. Really spot on with the Mbeumo story. And look, we've signed Cunha. We're about to sign Mbeumo. If you are a player like Gyökeres and you said, okay, Cunha's coming in and Mbeumo's coming in, you have a good relationship with Amorim, you might think, Man United might be serious. And look, I'll tell you this now, the United Muppeteers I would put him tier one. He's not Romano, he's not Ornstein, he's not Laurie Whitwell, but the United Muppeteers, everything the United Muppeteers said on Mbeumo was right. Everything the United Muppeteers have said on other players in the past has been accurate. If this was Footy Insider or for Chase, I wouldn't bother even doing a live stream on this. Do you know what I mean? But this is the Muppeteers coming in with big updates on Victor Gyökeres that I want to get into, which links to some other stories. So, there is expectation that Victor Gyökeres is kind of waiting for Manchester United. Now that doesn't definitely mean he's waiting for Man United. He might have 3 or 4 clubs in his head that he'd like to go to. He quite likes the idea of going for Man United, but if we faff, another club could come in and get the deal done. That doesn't mean 100% he's going to wait for us and turn down other clubs. But the United Muppeteers, whose sources have been very good, saying there's kind of an expectation that Gyökeres is waiting for United. He's the main target for the striker position, and this will happen once they finalise other deals and make sales. So what he's saying is once we sign Mbeumo, probably sell Garnacho, we'll make that move for Victor Gyökeres, and there's maybe a feeling inside Manchester United that he's going to wait for them. That's a big story because we know that Amorim wants Gyökeres. We know that Amorim is pushing. But there's now a feeling, he's £55 million. The price is set. That is the clause. We know in your strict clauses. There's a feeling, get Mbeumo done over the line. Gyökeres will wait. We'll go for him after some sales. And the United Muppeteers has sources. And for United Muppeteers to get this, essentially his sources and people at United must have a strong feeling that Gyökeres is willing to come, which has been the big question over it. Since Delapazov, it was also said there are people who expect Manchester United are going to sign him once they get sales finalised and other deals. They get the impression they might be waiting for him. And I'll tell you this now. The United Muppeteers doesn't just put out info for the sake of it. The United Muppeteers has likely been told, look, Manchester United, the people at the top have got strong indications from Gyökeres and his team himself that, he's open to the move, that he could be willing to wait. He understands United may need to make some sales. Gyökeres, I think, is in a situation where there's 3 or 4 clubs that he'd be open to joining should they go in for him. Should Barcelona go in for him, I think he could go to Barcelona and pick them over Manchester United. But I think there's a few clubs that he's particularly interested in. And I think Manchester United's one of them. I think we felt once we were out of the Champions League, I think we felt that we weren't going to get Victor Gyökeres. The minute we knew out the Champions League, I felt like we thought it was done. But now Delap's sort of gone to Chelsea, which might be a blessing in disguise. Now that Arsenal are going for Sesko, and we're still linked to Gyökeres, and I was thinking the day after we lost the Europa League final, we were going to get Gyökeres who said no to United. Gyökeres hasn't said no to United. Delap has said no to Manchester United, but Gyökeres hasn't. You know, Mbeumo's picked United, Cunha's picked United, Delap said no. Gyökeres has had this conversation with United for a while. We know United have been in for him for a while, and he's not turned down Manchester United. You know how Bruno was having chats with Saudi for 2 weeks? Bruno was definitely interested in the Saudi move. He then turned them down. Gyökeres has been talking to Manchester United for a while. You know, he does have some kind of interest there. I'm not saying he's 100% going to pick us, but that is a big positive news story in itself, and that is big positive indications. Now, if we get into other stories as well, this came out earlier today. Manchester United have upped their ante in the pursuit of Victor Gyökeres after head coach Ruben Amorim made it clear to Old Trafford hierarchy that he's desperate to seal a reunion with the Sporting start ahead of his first full season at the helm. So this is another story, you know, that Manchester United have upped their ante in pursuit of Victor Gyökeres after head coach Ruben Amorim made it clear to the Old Trafford hierarchy that he's desperate to seal blah, blah, blah. Do you know what the United Muppeteers said last night? You know, the United Muppeteers said last night that after we lost the Europa League final, Amorim had a meeting with Ineos, and he told Ineos we need to aim big, we need to be ambitious, and we need to go for Gyökeres and Mbeumo. Since we've lost the Europa League final, we've gone for Gyökeres and Mbeumo. And now other sources are confirming what the Muppeteers said. So some people were saying in the chat that Muppeteers doesn't have sources, but he does. He does have sources, because he said we'll push for Mbeumo. He said last night we're going to push for Mbeumo and Gyökeres. He's now giving us updates on Gyökeres. Now we've got Mbeumo saying yes. You know, he does have sources, and has been accurate. And obviously the report that came out yesterday that Manchester United were, you know, that Amorim was pushing Manchester United to go for Mbeumo, go for Gyökeres in a meeting. I'm going to get that up actually on my screen here. But United Muppeteers literally said yesterday as well, my feeling is that Man United are in a position where we could get Victor Gyökeres. We just need the money. You know, the United Muppeteers, that is very good, and it's got very good sources, is saying United, if they can get the money, could get Victor Gyökeres. Now, obviously, we need the money. There's a feeling if we'd have sold Bruno, we would have gone right in for Gyökeres and Mbeumo and got that done. You know, we've got to wait for Garnacho to go. Like, if we can't get rid of Garnacho and Rashford, we can't get Gyökeres. But the feeling is that we get rid of Garnacho and Rashford, we can get Gyökeres in, we can get Mbeumo in, we can get Cunha in. There's a feeling that Gyökeres, you know, is willing to wait for Manchester United, is open to the move, which is good news going in there. Someone says Cunha and Mbeumo Gyökeres, here we go, would be amazing. It would be amazing. Do you think Gyökeres will be a good signing? Yeah, I think it'll be a good signing. There's still elements of a risk, but I think we've got a good record with Sporting. Who's in for Gyökeres just seems sort of like it might be United or Sporting for the lad. Arsenal seem to have chosen Sesko. No Spanish, Italian or German clubs can afford him. Well, they can afford him. Chelsea seems to be going for Ekitike. A lot of people have questions like, why are no big teams in for Gyökeres? Is there something that the big teams are seeing that we're not seeing? Like, I know that Gyökeres isn't as complete as other strikers, but like, there is always that worry. Like, why are all the big teams turning up their nose at a chance to sign Victor Gyökeres for 55 million? Is he told them he wants United? Probably not. Like, there is obviously that concern. Gyökeres, Cunha and Mbeumo to the fact that Bruno is staying. What a week this could be. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I don't expect anything to happen in regards to Man United and Gyökeres till at least July. I think it is get Cunha and Mbeumo, get the sales done. I don't expect anything to happen in terms of Gyökeres till next month. But the indication is that Victor Gyökeres could very much be willing to wait for the Manchester United news, which is a Manchester United move, which is a big news in itself. I'm just going to scroll through the chat. I hope we get Osimhen over Gyökeres. I would actually pick, if we bring Mbeumo in, I do think Mbeumo, Cunha, Osimhen has better balance. The only thing I will say is I think Gyökeres is great. He knows Amorim's system. But with Mbeumo's crossing ability, I do sometimes think Victor Osimhen would probably be like the ideal one. Ahmad and Mbeumo on the right, Cunha Dorgu on the left, Gyökeres up top, Bruno in a good midfielder in the pivot, sort out the defence, sort out the keeper, and we're sorted. Uh, I mean, we could be. I mean, knowing Man United, there'll still be some area that'll be shy next season, but it's looking good. It's looking positive. Was reading Ferguson's book this week and he mentioned how bad Man United how he mentioned how Manchester United and Sporting would regularly trade coaching and scouting. Yeah, we have a good relationship with Sporting, which is a big boost there as well. There's an agreement with Victor Gyökeres and Ruben Amorim. That's why it didn't come out from the most reliable source, but there was apparently a report, and I think it came out of Sky Germany or Sky Denmark or Sky Sweden or Sky Switzerland. It was one of the Sky Sports. It wasn't like an unreliable source, but it wasn't like a Romano Ornstein. It was like a tier 2 source. And I remember saying this about a month ago. There was a report that came out. It might have even been 2 months ago. It might have even been April. But there was a report that came out, and it basically said that Victor Gyökeres had a gentleman's agreement with Amorim that he would join him at United, and had given his word to Amorim that he was going to come to United. There was that report, but it wasn't ever said by Ornstein Romano that there was a gentleman's agreement between Amorim and Gyökeres and that he'd given his word. Bowser says this: Gyökeres is arguably more complete than most big strikers. The worry with Gyökeres is if he needs more space in the box to work with and isn't elite hold-up. There's worries against low blocks. That's the question. The worry about Gyökeres is he's going to be coming up against better defenses, low blocks. He's going to need that space. That is the worry. Whereas Victor Osimhen doesn't need that kind of space against the low block. That is the potential worry there. Good news with Bruno rejecting Saudi. I think so. I saw some people annoyed that Bruno rejected Saudi, but look, I don't think this is the season to sell Bruno. I think if we finish third next season, and we probably won't, but if we finish third or fourth next season, I think we're in a position to sell Bruno and reinvest the funds. But I think we need Bruno next season, considering how far we are off. I think we need Bruno. I know like Liverpool sold Coutinho, used that money to build a better side, but I just think we need to be a more stable side before we let go of a player like Bruno. Look how good he was for Portugal today. With better players around, he'll be better. He'll be very good with Mbeumo. He's a leader. We don't need Bruno, Acuna, and Mbeumo. We'll always need Bruno. We'll always need Bruno until his legs go. I still worry about Gyökeres, even though he scored goals in Europe. The one question is apparently Gyökeres has scored like 10 plus penalties this season. He scored 34 penalties in his career, and this season he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He's got 15 penalty goals this season alone. So there is always that, like, is that inflating his stats? Like, his stats are ridiculous, but yes, he does get a mad amount of penalty goals. But like, I just think like you can't be a bad player if you've got 54 goals this season. Okay, if you take out penalties, he's got about 35 goals this season. But I just feel like, yeah, even though he needs space, even though he isn't the most complete, for him to have the numbers and the stats that he has, like, you can't be a bad player. I know a lot of clubs are ignoring Gyökeres, but yeah. Alice, would you prefer Lucas Chevalier over Martinez? I would. I think I don't rate. I think Emi Martinez is one of those people that gets international tournament overrated. I think he's international tournament. I think there's a lot of players that, because they have a good international tournament, they get overrated. Like Nico Williams, I used to really rate him, and I watched him a bit more this season. I say he's good, but he ain't 300, 400k a week good. He ain't. But I don't think Nico Williams is better than Garnacho. I don't think Nico Williams is better than Garnacho. I think he got that Euros hype, and I think Emi Martinez is a good keeper. He's better than Onana. But I do think there's this international hype. We see them have a good, Onana had a good Champions League campaign. We hyped him up. I feel like sometimes people go off good Champions League campaign, good World Cup campaign, but actually you need to go off good league campaigns when judging players. And Nico Williams, no doubt in my mind, is good, but he's not, like, I feel like, as good as people make out. Do you think we'll get Hayden Hackney? I don't know. It's one to watch, but I would say it's slim for now, but possible. It's, we haven't made any moves. I think we'll know next month about midfielders. Like, midfield is very much a July situation. I think midfield and goalkeeper is very much July, August. See who's sold. But I think we would want one because Eriksen's going as well. A lot of people complaining, where's this money for United? Well, we've already got 15 million we've already got, I think, 18 million just from the free agents leaving in the bank. And then we're going to sell Rashford, Garnacho, Malacia, Anthony. That's where the money's going to come from. David says, if Gyökeres signs for us, we're winning the Prem, mate. I don't think so. I don't think so. But I think we'll be in a much better position next season. You know, like Gyökeres and Mbeumo and Cunha, Ahmad, Bruno Fernandes. I think Dorgu gets way too much hate. I see a lot of Dorgu hate, and I don't personally understand a lot of the hate Dorgu gets. Oh, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Ornstein's just put breaking news. Let me get David Ornstein up. And Mbeumo breaking news here. I tell you what, this is a stream, isn't it? So literally just now, Ornstein's put some Mbeumo news out. Let me get this out. Bid for Bryan Mbeumo. It's, you know, it's actually not a bomber, but it is a bomber. Bomber from David Ornstein. Manchester United submit offer to sign Mbeumo from Brentford, 45 million plus 10 million in add-ons. So that's 55 million, some way below the level of fee needed for Brentford to consider a sale, but talks are ongoing. So let me update the title of this video now. But bish bash bosh, Mbeumo bid. Mbeumo bid, guys. Man United are making moves. You know, Man United need to sell to sign Mbeumo. I don't think we do, because we've just made a bid. Now, I think it will be a 50 million. I think a 50 million bids with 10 million in add-ons will get the deal done. I think Brentford will want 50 million base fee, and I think 10 million in add-ons. Mbeumo bid confirmed. Let me get that. Is it a 55 million Mbeumo bid? 55 million Mbeumo bid confirmed. There we go. So David Ornstein has just said Manchester United submit opening offer to sign Mbeumo from Brentford, 45 million plus 10 million in add-ons. So look, they're not going to accept that, but they probably want 50 million base fee. I think we improve the base fee. We bid 5 million more, and I think that's a done deal. I think there were 60 million, but 10 million is add-ons. I think this is close to being a done deal. I think we're going to get here we go soon. You know, they've not rejected the bid. He's not said they've rejected the bid. They're working on it. Apparently 55 million is enough to get the deal done, but I think they'll want 50 million base fee. 55 million is believed to be enough to get the deal done, but I think they will want at least 50 million base fee, not 45 million base fee. But like right now, that's a 55 million bid from Man United for Bryan Mbeumo. Like we honestly could get the deal done tomorrow. Like I could be doing an Mbeumo here we go video tomorrow. You know, these are. I tell you what, I really picked a good time to go live, because I would have been fuming if I recorded a whole video and this news had come out. Like I would have been rattled. So look, there's big advancements there on Mbeumo. So first bidding from Bryan Mbeumo. So Cunha is done. We've got Mbeumo accepting to join United. We've put the first bid in for Mbeumo. We could have the here we go for Mbeumo soon. And Victor Gyökeres is willing to wait for United. Alice, stop getting so excited. Look, I've had nothing to be excited about for nearly a full year of watching Man United. I'm going to get overexcited about a bid for Bryan Mbeumo because I've got to take happiness somewhere. As Manchester United fans, our only happy period seems to be when we sign someone in the transfer window, because then we start the season and we're crap again and we're miserable again. So let's just be happy while we can, you know. Do you worry about Mbeumo overperforming XG? Mbeumo and Gyökeres both scored a lot of penalty goals. Look, obviously, if you take away the penalties, it's 13 goals for Mbeumo. If you take away the penalties, it's 34 goals for Gyökeres, not 54. Yeah, there's concerns, but look, they're still good players with still good output. They're still better than what we've got. Get it done. 55 million bid. I mean, we've technically made a 55 million bid, and apparently they'd be willing to accept 55 million, but I think they'll want 50 million base fee. But David Ornstein didn't say reject. David Ornstein says talks ongoing with Manchester United, work to agree the deal, but the Cameroon forward is keen. So they're just saying talks ongoing. It's not the bid rejected, because it's a good bid. Like they want 55 million pounds, but they probably want 50 million base fee. I think they will want more base fee. So I think this bid, you know, maybe they accept it. I don't know if they're going to accept this bid. I think because it's a first bid and it's Man United, they might ask for 5 million more. But yeah. Mbeumo. Thing is, I started saying Mbeumo and everyone said it's Mbeumo. So one minute I say Mbeumo, I get told it's Mbeumo. The next minute I say Mbeumo, I get told it's Mbeumo. Has he got one of those videos? You know the videos in the Premier League where it's like Nicholas Jackson? Has he got one? Has he got one? Because that'd be nice to watch. Oh, some miserable, jealous people in the chat. There's definitely a few non-Man United fans in the chat today. Mbeumo. We're gonna say Mbeumo. People are saying Mbeumo now. Put 1 for Mbeumo, 2 for Mbeumo. Do you think Rashford to Stegen trade? No, I want pure profit money for Rashford. I don't. If Barcelona are giving us a player, it's normally because they're washed. It's like Chelsea. If you're going to just swap deal, a lot of people are saying Mbeumo. A few people are saying Mbeumo. Mbeumo. I feel like more people are going for Mbeumo. We're gonna try and say Mbeumo now. So do you know what? Do you ever get used to pronouncing something one way that even you sometimes say it wrong? You know, like Levi Colwill. I keep calling him Levy Colwill. I keep calling him Levy Colwill. I don't know why, Levi, but I keep calling him Levy. You know, I sometimes mix. Some people say Mbeumo, some people say Mbeumo. Mbeumo. He pronounces it as 2, does he? Mbeumo. Okay. So this news report's just come out. Like literally breaking news, literally like 2 minutes ago, David Ornstein's confirmed we put in a bid for Mbeumo. And then we've had the Muppeteers saying that, you know, some people at United feel that Gyökeres is going to wait for them. So I think missing out on Leon Delap is a blessing in disguise. I don't believe Ratcliffe's got no money if we're going to be spending 115 million on Mbeumo and Cunha already. I mean, look, I think United are confident of sales. Do you know what? I'm going to be honest. I think United saw that they could have got Elise last summer because Elise apparently wanted Manchester United, or apparently was a Man United fan. Who knows? But basically, because we told Elise we've got to sell Greenwood and we've got to sell Sancho and then we'll go for him, he didn't want to wait for us. So then he went to Bayern Munich. So I think United have learned from that, and they're like, well, we're just going to get Mbeumo and Cunha, and then we'll do the sales. Because what they're going to do is they're going to organise it with Brentford, so the deal doesn't sign till July 1st, so it doesn't count as this year's PSR. Has the bid been rejected? I don't think it's been rejected. They've not accepted it. Ornstein is very much saying the offer is a little bit below the level for United to agree a fee. So that 45 million plus 10 million in add-ons is a good bid. I think we'll have to give them 50 million plus 10 million in add-ons. I think up it by 5 million, it's a done deal. I think that's a good bid, but Brentford want another 5 million more. It's Man United. Of course they're going to. You know, Ornstein's saying it's below the level of fee Brentford would want, but the bid is there. The bid is in. I think that's a good deal. But I think give them 50 million up front with 10 million in add-ons, and I think it will be a done deal. But yeah, we're moving fast. Like Arsenal haven't done anything yet. We are moving fast because I was saying today, City have got Reinders in, and they're Cherky and Aït-Nouri essentially in the space of a day. You know, Liverpool have got Frimpong. They're going to get Gyökeres and Wirtz in. You know, you don't want to fall behind. And this is the first time ever I feel like that Man United aren't falling behind in the transfer window. We're normally so used to waiting until July for us to get our first signing over the line. The fact that we might get 2 deals done, and not any 2 deals done. This isn't talking about signing Malacia or a Dan James type player. I'm talking about a Cunha and Mbeumo type player. The fact that we have potentially got 2 unbelievable deals done this early, you know what? Like, that's a good start. Ineos have got to prove themselves this season. Last season was shambles. Ineos have got to prove themselves. And this is a good start, 100%. Alice, don't clickbait us with the Gyökeres news. I've already covered the Gyökeres news. It's not clickbait. The United Muppeteers are a good source of information, and they've got indication that there's people in and around Manchester United that believe that Gyökeres will wait for the move, and he'd be open to the Man United move. Gyökeres has not rejected us. You know, we're not doing anything for Gyökeres yet because we put in this money on. We've made a bid for Mbeumo. We don't have the money to make a bid for both Mbeumo and pay Gyökeres' 55 million clause. But the indication the Muppeteers is saying is if Manchester United have the money, Gyökeres could be in the back. If we sign Mbeumo and then we go and sell Garnacho next week, we will then go and bid for Victor Gyökeres, and there's a feeling that he would be willing to come. That's what I'm going to say. I would take Osimhen over Gyökeres, like being totally honest. I would take Osimhen over Gyökeres, but it's still big news. It's still a big boost. Did you watch Bruno versus Wirtz today? I watched bits of the game and Bruno looked good. Liverpool fans were gassing up that Wirtz had fouled Bruno for some reason. They were like, "Oh, he's my player," and I was like, "Really, really?" I tell you what, that looked like Bruno. I thought Bruno was injured. I thought, oh my god, is Bruno got injured for the first time in his career? And yeah, big up Saeed in the chat as well. Make sure you go check out his channel if you haven't already. 45 plus 10 is a fair deal. 55 million is a very fair deal. I just think they want 50 million base. I think if they want more than 50 plus 10, I think you almost have to say no and play hardball, and then I think they'll cave. I think 45 plus 10 is a fair deal, but they do want, I reckon they want 50 million base, or even 50 million plus 5. Could they do 55 million in total is a good deal. I think it's going to go to 60. But I don't know. I think 50 plus 5 they do. I think 50 plus 5 they do. I just think they want that 50 million base. Which is annoying because I thought we could, a lot of sources said that we could probably get a deal done for 50 to 55 million, and we've given 55 million. But I think it's maybe the add-ons. I don't know. I think it's a fair deal. But Ornstein said it's a bit low. But also it's Man United. I think if a club like who was good in the transfer market, like Bayern Munich, had bidded that, I feel like they might have accepted it. I do think they try. I think clubs try it on a little bit when it is Manchester United. Being totally honest. Cunha and Mbeumo, excellent signings. They would be. They would be excellent signings. Is Wirtz better than Bruno? What next season will be the judge. I think he's got a height. He's probably. I think his ceiling. Yeah, if you're going off Wirtz and his ceiling in his career, I think he will have a better career than Bruno Fernandes. But yeah, he's an unbelievable player. Wirtz scored a goal. He did. I think Liverpool will get that deal done soon, but he's going to be. I think they want 120 million, which he's a £100 million player for sure. Victor should be priority over Mbeumo. I would go for Mbeumo over Gyökeres. If Gyökeres will wait, I'd go for it. If I was to be honest, I'd go for Osimhen over Gyökeres. If we could, I think Osimhen's close to going to Saudi. I don't know what the situation is with that, but I would actually go for Osimhen. Oh, David Ornstein. No, that's just the. Oh, he's just. I got a notification, but it's just a delayed notification. I wondered if David Ornstein put anything else out. So United submitted an opening offer. It's 55 million, 45 plus 10 in add-ons. I think it's a fair offer. Brentford are probably going to say no. That's a strong offer, but I think another 5 and it's done deal. And look, Cunha and Mbeumo, done deal. That's what I like to see. Oh, bear with me a sec. Bear with. Okay, no, I was just reading something. I just didn't want to read that out in case it was what I thought it was. Amorim is a genius. He's working around the wingers' curse, especially right by not playing wingers. Do you know what I like about these signings? Is they're both Premier League proven. They are both Premier League proven. I think if you go for, like, for example, imagine if we've gone and signed Jeremy Gittins and Nico Williams. Now, Jeremy Gittins and Nico Williams are both good players. They're both good young players. But you don't, like, they could come to the Premier League and you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what Jeremy Gittins is going to do. You don't know what Nico Williams is going to do in the Premier League because they're young, they're raw. And I feel like we've done that so much in the past. The money on Anthony, the money on Sancho. What we know right now is Mbeumo has played in a back three system. Cunha has played in a back three system. They're both 25 years of age. They're both in their prime. They've both had insane seasons in the Premier League for a team that I'd say was worse than us, but both of the teams were better than us, despite us finishing above Wolves. And they're going to come to United. What I like about this is Premier League proven, ready-made players in their position who have got the goal contributions, that know and how to play in a system like this, coming to United. That's what I like about this. It's not going and spending 90 million on a 20-year-old in Germany. I feel like this is lower risk, and I feel like we've wasted a lot of money in the past. So this is what I like. It's going to be hard for Amorim, but these signings should get us over the line. Because look, pressure is going to be on Amorim from first game of next season because he didn't do enough to prove himself this season. But it's only fair to give Amorim the summer to see what he can do. There's no point bringing Amorim in and going, but the pressure's on from the early stages next season. But I've always said this with Ruben Amorim. We're better defensively with Ruben Amorim. We are playing with a back five, but we've got worse going forward. And I think right now, if we can get the bozo out of the goalkeeping net, and we can get, Ahmad wing back, Cunha, Gyökeres, and Mbeumo front three, get a good player to go next to Bruno in midfield, maybe another centre back for depth, that's something that would be a good lineup, and we only have Premier League to focus on next season. We've gone from 4 goals Højlund, who is getting outplayed by Shido, and Højlund can't even do it in Hong Kong. Højlund can't do it in Hong Kong, which is concerning, to now maybe Victor Gyökeres, who has got a lot of penalties, that does need space. But if you look at Victor Gyökeres' goals, the amount of goals he's made out of nothing for himself, we need that. And Mbeumo with the crossing skill. Now, I would rather have Victor Osimhen to get on the end of the crosses. Cunha, brilliant player. Bruno Stein. Like, next season, I'm almost excited. But then I'm trying not to get excited because, one, the deals aren't done. And two, I remember we signed Ronaldo. And I was like, we've got Ronaldo, we've got Cavani, we've got Martial, we've got Sancho, who just come in. We've got Rashford, who was off the back of a good season. And we had Greenwood before that whole situation went down. I was thinking Greenwood, Sancho, Rashford, Martial, Cavani, Ronaldo. I was thinking this team, Pogba and Bruno in behind, the 5-1 win versus Leeds. I was going into that season gassed, hyped. We came second the season before. That's going to be our year. And that attack didn't work. It was individuals. It wasn't a team. Look at Real Madrid. Sometimes they're individuals, not a team. That's the only thing you've got to worry about. That's the only thing you've got to worry about. What happens to Sancho? He wants to find a new club. This is what I don't get about Sancho, is he wants to find a new club, and Chelsea offered him apparently 150k a week. I don't think there's a club out there that's going to pay 25 million for Sancho and give him 150k a week when he was all right this season, but he hasn't really done anything to warrant earning 150k a week in the last 3-4 years of his career. That's what I don't get. If Sancho was forced out of Manchester United, and he was forced out by Ten Hag, and, he liked Manchester United, I'd understand him turning down Chelsea and coming back. It's a fresh start under Amorim. But Sancho doesn't want to be at Man United. He doesn't want Manchester United. If we forced him out because of Ten Hag and because he didn't want to, but he wanted to stay here and all of that, I'd understand Sancho turning down, taking a wage cut at Chelsea and come back to United. But when he goes to Chelsea, he puts all this freedom stuff out and makes it clear he doesn't want to be at Man United and forces 2 loan moves himself, why are you coming back to United? People are like, oh, it's United's fault for giving Sancho these wages because Chelsea are never going to match that. True, because if Chelsea match what he's on at Man United, he earns more than Caicedo and Palmer. He doesn't deserve to earn more than Caicedo and Palmer. But I'd understand it if we'd forced Sancho out and Sancho wanted Man United and wanted a fresh chance under Amorim. But Sancho forced 2 loan moves and he did this freedom stuff. So if it's about freedom and he said he's leaving Man United because he just wants to play football, then why didn't you take the wage cut at Chelsea? That's what I can't understand with it. Someone said they think Wirtz is going to flop at Liverpool. I don't think he will. I don't think he'll flop at Liverpool. Also with Wirtz, he's going to have good players around him, and because Liverpool are good, he's going to have less pressure to perform immediately as well. Like he's a top player. Why aren't more clubs looking at Mitrovic? Because £40 million and crazy wages for a player that I think his priority would be money, Mitrovic, and you don't want to get away from that. Signing Gyökeres would probably help Højlund leave. Apparently, he wants to stay. I think the United district said that Højlund would like to stay and prove himself at United. But look, Højlund, mate, for your own good, if you want to make it work at Man United, go out on loan for a year. You cannot stay. Obi's going to be taking your place next season, Højlund. Seriously, you cannot stay. If you want to make your career work at Man United, go on loan. Go on loan with an option to buy. And if you do really well on loan and you want to go back to Man United, that's fine. But yeah, Højlund's just... Look, I feel for Højlund, but he's just so... He has to go for his own good. Obi is showing him up big time. He couldn't do it in Hong Kong. He couldn't do it against Essene All-Stars. Someone said Sim Fabrizio tweet, and I have not. What has he tweeted? Brentford want Man United to start at 70 million for Mbeumo. Well, they're never going to get that, and they know they're not going to get that. So they're never going to get 70 million. They're just trying it on because it's Manchester United. Yeah, they're just basically. I reckon it'll be done at. I reckon it'll be 60 million. I reckon 50 million plus 10 million add-ons. It'll be done. It's Manchester United. I bet if Mbeumo pushes for the move, it'll be fine. Mbeumo has 1 year left on his contract. We don't need to be paying any more than 60 million. He's got 1 year left on his contract and he's asked to leave. We do not need to be paying more than 60 million. I just think Brentford are trying it on because it's Man United. If this was Manchester City, do you think they'd be asking for 70 million? No. If this was Newcastle United, do you think they'd be up? Do you think they'd be asking for 70 million? No. And Mbeumo is worth 60 million. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He's a very good player. They're trying it on. I reckon a deal will be done at 60 million. I think a deal will be done at 60 million. But apparently, Romano has now tweeted that Brentford wants 70 million, which is, they're just trying it on because it's Man United. We know that they wanted 55 million. And then as soon as Man United are in, oh, we want 70 million. They look at Sancho, they look at Anthony, they're just trying on. Even without the behavioural stuff, if Sancho stayed, he'd be 5th, 6th choice. Yeah. Like, he's not starting over Mbeumo or Amad or Bruno or even Xerxes. I think Xerxes is better than Sancho, so yeah. Where's the money coming from? Well, we don't start these deals to July 1st, so it doesn't matter about PSR this year. Obviously, we're selling Garnacho, Bruno, not Garnacho, we're selling Garnacho, sorry, it's not Bruno, so we're selling Garnacho, Rashford. Obviously, we've saved about 18 million in wages just from the free agents going, which will cover the wages. So, yeah. How are Man United going to pay for this? Because they will do the deals over 4-year contracts as well. We got to Cass saying check the phone. Okay. I've just checked my phone now. Bear with me, guys. I just need to quickly reply to this. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. What do you think we will pay to get a Mbeumo deal done? I think, honestly, 60 million. I think it will be done. I don't think Brentford are actually going to hold out for 70 million. Do you remember when Chelsea wanted 70 million for Mason Mount and we did it at 55 million? Yeah, so big up to Cass. Make sure you go check out his channel, people. Many clubs would have accepted 45 plus 10. I think 50 plus 10 and they'll do it. 50 plus 10 and they'll do it. It's like, I honestly think that. Romano was quoting in euros, not pounds. Was he? Did he say 70 million euros? 70 million euros is about 60 million pounds, right? 70 million euros is 58 million pounds. I think he put 70 million pounds. Ben Jacobs has said, and I have to say, Ben Jacobs has been pretty accurate with his information lately, by the way. Like, these last 2 months, Ben Jacobs has been very good with his information, particularly his Saudi links. And he has said that Brentford want at least 50 million guaranteed for Mbeumo. They're pointing towards the 62 value of Cunha. That says to me 50 million base, 10 million in add-ons. I honestly believe 50 million base fee, 10 million in add-ons, and it's done. I honestly believe that. They want 50 million guaranteed. That's why they rejected it. Just up the guaranteed amount by 5 million and it's done. Because what Man United are going to do is they'll probably pay that over 3-4 years as well. It's laughable that Sancho's back. His career could be over. I mean, he'll go out on loan again, but it's just annoying. It's like he had an opportunity at Chelsea. They wanted to buy him, and all he had to do was lower his wages. Because at the end of the day, he's got 1 more year left on his contract at Man United. And without Champions League football, he would be earning maybe 40k a week more at Man United, which is a significant amount of money, but it's only for a year. And then this time next year, he's a free agent and got to find a new club. Is he that confident? Unless he has a really good season next season, no club is going to offer him more than what Chelsea did. No club's going to offer him more than 150k a week. I think the people advising Sancho are silly. Ben Jacobs is on it right now. I used to say I think he just copies what a lot of the reliable people say, but lately, I apologise. He's been very accurate with his information lately, Ben Jacobs. He's been really good so far this summer. Yeah, Jadon should go to Saudi. Clearly only cares about the money. I mean, if they want to come in and give us 30 million, that'd be good. Can't understand how Man United can do it with PSR. Shall I explain how it works with PSR? Because a lot of people are sort of a bit confused. There's also a difference between like cash in the bank and money for transfers as well. Like we talk about Man United being broke, the debt, the employees and stuff. There's a difference between also cash in the bank and stuff as well. But I'm going to explain to you how Manchester United can do this in regards to PSR. Now, obviously, despite being crap this season, we've generated over £600 million. So I'm going to quickly explain this to people because how it works. So United can afford, and Mbeumo's going to be 60 million, okay? But I thought it was going to be 50 million here at the time. So that's 120 million. How can United do this without player sales? Well, first of all, the Cunha deal starts in July. We pay Wolves the first instalment July 1st. So this doesn't affect this year's PSR. Even if agreed now, it can be booked on from July 1st. So what we're doing right now is we're agreeing Cunha and we're agreeing Mbeumo, but we're not starting and paying the first instalment till July 1st. Now we're paying the fee for Cunha over 3 years because it's a clause of 20.7 million a year over 3 years. Now in Mbeumo, it could be something like 10 million plus 2 million in add-ons over 5 years. So you're looking potentially, we're paying about 30 million a year. So basically, what we could be doing, depending on the installments, is we're probably looking at, for both players, we're probably paying 35 million for this year. So probably only paying 35 million pounds for both players this year in terms of Cunha and Mbeumo. We also expect to sell Rashford and Garnacho in pure profit, which could bring us in nearly 100 million pounds. We'll probably get 10 million from Alvaro going to Real Madrid, which is also pure profit. Eriksen and Lindelof leaving has also given us 14 million. So we're not spending the money that's going on their wages is coming out of Lindelof and Eriksen's wages, because Eriksen was on 200k a week. When Sancho, Anthony, and Rashford leave, again, that's nearly 20 odd million in wages as well saved. Sancho, that's the big question, but Anthony and Rashford to leave as well. Rashford wants to take a wage cut to leave. So that's why there's no PSR issue. And I think I can understand why Newcastle and Villa fans are frustrated, because if Newcastle signed Mbeumo and Cunha, they'd have to finish in the Champions League again next season, or they'd be in big trouble and have to sell like they did last summer. Whereas because United, as you can see here, we generated twice the amount of Newcastle last season, despite being shite. We can afford these kind of deals because of the money that we generate, compared to Forest, Villa, and Newcastle, who have ambition, but they can't quite spend. So that's sort of how United can do it and get the deal done, essentially, without breaching PSR. And also, people talk about United being broke and the debt and stuff, but there's a difference between cash in the bank and then PSR is about, like the amortization of fees and all of that as well. Big up to everybody as well. I need to factor in old transfers still being paid. Of course, there's 85 million that will come out of that. We still got to pay off a good money for Mount. The fact that we're paying off a good amount of money for Mount, Højlund, and Onana. Big up to Gaz in the chat. Big up to Josh, is that how you say your name? Big up to everybody tuning in the chat. Mbeumo, get it done, 60 million. If not, walk away. Brentford will then accept the bid. I reckon so as well. Where do you think Sancho will go? Whoever wants him. What's your source of Gyökeres wanting United? Well, the Muppeteers have got information to suggest that insiders at United are confident that Victor Gyökeres will wait for the move. The Gyökeres news, if you want the Gyökeres news, that's right at the start, because about 20 minutes into this live show, the Mbeumo news broke. But the Gyökeres news was right at the start. João Palhinha. I wouldn't want João Palhinha, but there is talk of his future being up in the air at Bayern Munich as well. But I'm personally, I don't think we need João Palhinha. I think he's a little bit overrated. Mbeumo, Gyökeres, and Cunha, how many goals did they get this season? So Mbeumo got 20 goals, Cunha got 15 goals, and Gyökeres, I don't know how many goals he got in the league. I know he got 54 goals, Gyökeres. He got 39 goals in the league. So you're talking 59 goals, 69 goals. You're talking 74 goals between potentially the 3 attacking signings we got in their respective leagues. Ben Jacobs is again saying 50 million base fee, 60 million to get it done. 50 plus 10 is what Ben Jacobs is suggesting. And Ben Jacobs has been very accurate. So basically, if you want the latest on Mbeumo, we bidded 45 plus 10. It got rejected. Romano's saying that Brentford wants 70. Ben Jacobs, who's been very good with his information this summer, who I was originally sceptical about, is now saying, 50 guaranteed, 50 plus 10 could get a deal done. So that's big news coming in. We could get a big update on Mbeumo in the coming days. Listen, people, I am going to wrap up the live stream in a second, but Cass is live on his channel covering all the news on Victor Gyökeres, waiting for United, covering all the news on Mbeumo. So make sure you go over to his channel and show him some love. I'm going to redirect you there now, but thank you for watching today's late night show. Bye.